Welcome to Policing TV. Today I'm at the APCC-NPCC Summit in London, where I'm going to ask delegates and exhibitors about their proudest moments in policing.
My proudest moment in policing.
My proudest moment in policing.
My proudest moment in policing.
It's mainly bringing some solace to families of murder victims when I was an SIO.
Was getting our first house built on site on an unused piece of land in Torquay from our Prisoners Building Homes programme.
Was actually working in a community in East Lancashire where I was contacted by a priest on a Sunday afternoon.
Joining the police to do operational work was actually to deliver body-worn video and work with colleagues to set what I would argue are worldwide standards.
I've been working now for forensic analytics for the last 5.5 years, and prior to working for the company I worked for the United Nations, and prior to that for the Metropolitan Police. My proudest moment in policing, I would have to say, would have been working for the Counter-Terrorism Command in some very busy years from 2005 through to 2009, working with some phenomenal individuals, keeping the country safe.
My proudest moment in policing has got to be when I was a detective in the middle part of my career. I retired as a chief officer now with the technology industry, but when I was a senior investigating officer, I investigated a region of 70 murders, manslaughters, abductions, kidnaps, and I detected every one of them with my team, of course, not just me. And I'm extremely proud of that, to be an SIO during the part of my career.
We're very fortunate at Select Mark to work with police forces. Probably the proudest moment I can think of is a very recent one where we've worked with Merseyside Police on a very innovative initiative whereby they encountered data to show that 80% of all crime in Merseyside involved the use of a bike or an e-bike, and we've helped them in reducing not only bike theft but all other types of crime which might involve the use of a bike or an e-bike, from drugs to robberies, etc. So that's a proud moment for me.
So my proudest moment so far working in policing was attending the Met Excellence Awards in 2016, when I watched the family of PC Keith Blakelock receive the Met Excellence Award after the horrendous terrorist attacks at Westminster Parliament, which was just unbelievable. So it brought a tear to my eyes. Very proud to work in policing.
I have two really proud moments within Content Guru. The first one is our work with Surrey and Sussex Police last year, where they were the first two forces in the country to use a cloud-based contact management solution to answer 999 and 101 calls, and within 3 months of going live, they ended up being first and second in the Home Office 999 performance tables for answering calls in under 10 seconds. The second proud moment for me with Content Guru is a service we provide for all the police forces in the country known as NMAT, National Mutual Aid Telephony, where all the forces can come together in moments of crisis. So examples of crisis where the solution was in use include examples such as the Grenfell Tower fire and the London bridge stabbings, where the solution was used to provide mutual aid for forces around the country. Great moments and proud moments for me and the organisation.
So Joe, how many years in policing have we got collectively?
So I've got well over 30 years now experience.
And I've got around 22.
So we are buyers. So throughout my career, I've worked in a buying capacity, buying everything from dog food to helicopters.
Absolutely.
And I think we're just proud to support the front line. The challenge has always been to get kit for the front line, to make sure that they're equipped with things to help support, so that we know that our colleagues have always got the kit that helps them, whether it be vehicles, helicopters, uniform. We've had some challenging times, I think it's fair, whether that be riots on the streets, with the pandemic, foot-and-mouth crisis, all sorts. I think it's not always been easy.
No.
It's not always easy to please our frontline colleagues either. They've usually got opinions, haven't they?
I think over the years we've seen so many challenges, the good, the bad and the ugly, but what I would say is that over those years we've been absolutely proud to serve in a different way We see our frontline officers serving us as a member of the public, and for us it's really important that we give that level of service back. And as Blue Light Commercial, as the national commercial organisation, we are really proud to serve, and our leaders, we're going to see much more evolving challenges. As Joe said, we've seen lots of things over the years, and those challenges are going to come in different forms over the next 12, 18, 24 months. But we're here, and we're here to support, and we're very proud to.
The thing that I'm proudest of in my policing career is seeing our product, a product that I helped build and develop from its state of infancy, be used in CompStat and LAPD. And the reason why that's been such a feels like such a big achievement to me is when the thing that you have put your blood, sweat, and tears into gets used as the core performance management for an agency that just touches millions and millions of people. It's an iconic agency. I think it makes me feel like a lot of the late nights, a lot of the long flights and trips away from my family were all worth it, to see the thing that you built positively impact the lives of millions of people at scale.
My proudest moment in policing, I've been a consultant and supplier to policing for probably 25 years now. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was involved in a number of studies that looked at the rationalization of police control rooms because of the advent of Tetra technologies. Marvelous times, working with a number of good forces, simulating control room activities, allowing them to make educated decisions about the reduction of control rooms.
Okay, great. So one of the most memorable parts of my policing career I remember was actually working in a community in East Lancashire where I was contacted by a priest on a Sunday afternoon to inform me that he had informed by one of his parishioners around somebody on a scrapyard. I actually went over to that scrapyard and found a young male who has actually been living on there for over 10 years and was a victim of modern slavery. And I'm very proud to say that that young man now is flourishing, although he does have some disabilities as a result of the time that he spent being kept on that scrapyard. However, he does spend Christmas Day with me each year. He's also a great close friend of my family now, and also works with my family. So there's a very, very personal connection to me, to the young man. Marek is his name, and I know he won't mind me saying that. And that element of my policing career that will actually always stay with me as well.
I think the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that nowadays when people talk about victims and they talk about crimes, they discuss automatically the importance of family. So you hear a big case and they're talking about how proud they are of the victims, and more often than not now they say, and the families, and they recognise the courage and the tenacity that family members, those caring for victims of crime, really offer.
So proudest moment, Bernard, for me, is working in partnership with the Met through the delivery of our facial recognition technology, which is helping the Met make the streets of London safer.
So many days and so much I'm proud of during my career. Picking out one individual thing is really difficult, but I think it's mainly bringing some solace to families of murder victims. When I was an SIO, that we'd caught the person responsible. One particular case took 12 years to solve, but I was determined to solve it. And after that, the family was so thankful that the police hadn't forgotten about their loved one who'd been taken away in such dreadful circumstances as he was. So I could pick 100 more out, but I think that generally, bringing that solace to people who've lost loved ones, it's such an important part of the role. It's all about making sure the victims are looked after right and victims' families looked after right, and that's why policing is so important.
Okay, so the question is, what am I most proud of in my career? I think, fortunately, I've had quite a long and varied career in fire and policing, and there's quite a lot to choose from. It says that, but I think some of the things I'm most proud of is the way I've worked with partners to help improve public safety. But if you're after a specific incident, that's probably the Bunsfield fire back in 2005. Many people in fire would have heard about that. That was a really significant, difficult incident. But in making a difference to communities, the introduction of the LIFE, the Local Intervention Fire Education Scheme, into Shadwell, Whitechapel area back in the early 2000s, and working with young people going off the rails, not really in education, making a nuisance of themselves and putting them back on the rails with excellent firefighters working with them. So probably Buncefield, the life schemes are those two big ones, but in general terms, still making a difference to our communities really gets me out of bed in the morning.
I think what I'm most proud about in my policing career is the work we've done in the last 12, 18 months, supporting various police forces in their hotspot response funded programmes. And what we've seen is using Esri technology, putting officers in the right place for 15 minutes at a time has reduced crime in those harm hotspots. And I think that's driven down crime, it's improved public confidence, and it's shown value for money in return on investment from the Home Office Fund, and delivered real value to policing. I think that's what I'm most proud of.
I've been asked about one of my very well-known incidents back in the day when I was a police officer. So when Will and Kate got married, I was on duty. I got called to an incident whereby criminal damage of an individual who assaulted their dog. Upon arrival at the property, an 18-year-old girl who was heavily pregnant answered the door, sat down, she was in tears. I found out that the perpetrator had actually assaulted her as well as the dog and made off. I then found out more information that another one of her friends was also pregnant by the same individual. Speaking to her in detail, I found out more about everything, and I then collated an intelligence pack because she told me that he was well known in an organised crime gang around weapons and drugs. Went back to the station, called an arrest package, and we got two seals from TSG. And later that evening, we raided the property, led to a successful arrest. Weapons and drugs were recovered.
As I reflect over my time in policing since 2011, one of the moments that I'm particularly proud of been having an involvement was during COVID, where I looked after the welfare of the temporary mortuary at Birmingham Airport alongside many colleagues, but particularly within policing colleagues. Really challenging set of circumstances where we were having to help our faith communities understand that we were operating with dignity and doing our best to stay in line with their faith and traditions around death, but also for the welfare of the incredible people, those within policing and partner agencies who expressed an incredible amount of dignity to those deceased patients who were coming through the facility at Birmingham Airport. And as I look back at that period of time, it was quite a significant moment with some incredible service from people who did some remarkably outstanding work during the most adverse time. So something that I'm particularly proud of as I look back is that period of time.
So my proudest moment, I guess I've only been in post as the Deputy Mayor for Police, Fire and Crime in York and North Yorkshire since July, but my proudest moment is being in a position to be able to influence policing over the next 4 years across York and North Yorkshire, working alongside the Mayor, David Skaith, particularly focused on early intervention and prevention and trying to reduce long-term problems in policing and criminal justice across York and North Yorkshire.
So my proudest moment in working for the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner in Devon and Cornwall was getting our first house built on site on an unused piece of land in Torquay from our Prisoners Building Homes programme. So this is a programme where we have been able to give prisoners construction skills within the prison setting, in workshops, in partnership with the private sector, and they effectively develop a modular home. They get all the skills and training, they're paid to do it, and then those modular homes go back to local authorities on unused land and go back into helping local authorities reduce their housing waiting lists. And we developed a proof of concept for this in Torbay, which is in South Devon, and our first home went live during COVID with everything against us, and we made it work. And now the project is almost on a sustainable footing because we've just received funding from the government to take it to the next level. So a really proud moment and hopefully the start of something new.
Okay, so my proudest moment, I'm going to be a little bit greedy. I've had a few proud moments, and they've all been in the last 2 years. And honestly, it's whenever one of the women that's been involved in this programme that I'm running, this gender programme that I'm running in the British Overseas Territories, when one of them gets promoted, every single time, it's like seeing your child do well. And even if I've only had a tiny bit tiny part to play in that success. They're my proudest moments.
I have many proud moments working with policing and in policing over the last 15 years or so, but I would highlight the work that we did at the start of the COVID pandemic, moving the office online, making sure that victim services stayed operating and stayed working through that, and rewriting a new chapter of the police and crime plan to ensure there was effective oversight of the force during the pandemic emergency was one of the most challenging and exciting and rewarding times I've spent in policing.
Well, that's it from the APCC-NPCC Summit for this year. I hope you've enjoyed learning something about the proud moments of just some of the delegates and exhibitors at this particular summit. Till next time, cheerio.